Yes, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd jump on very quickly as I've seen some good news this morning coming out of the club. Well, it's not confirmed yet, but it is a direct quote from Scott Parker talking about the contracts of Josh Brownhill and CJ Egan-Riley, who are both, of course, out of contract in the summer as it stands. But if Scott Parker is saying positive stuff about it, then the good signs are that these two will be signing for us and will still be here next season, because I've spoken about it before. Doesn't matter what you think of Josh Brownhill, which I still find it ridiculous that some people are still critical of him, if I'm honest, after the season that he's had. Not many, admittedly, but there are still a few out there. But no matter what you think of either of these two players, if we go into the Premier League season and lose Trafford, lose Brownhill, lose CJ, some people thinking we'll lose Steve as well, is that good preparation for a Premier League season? Of course it's not. The reason why we have been so good this season is because of the two centre-backs, because of the goalkeeper, and thanks to Josh Brownhill's goals as well. So if we lose them four, it's the worst possible preparation for a new Premier League season. Let's have a look at what Sheffield United did a couple of seasons ago. They sold Iliman Ndiaye, didn't he? He went to Marseille, I think it was, before going back to Everton, back to the Premier League with Everton, and they sold Sander Berg to us. The worst possible preparation. No wonder they were god-awful that season in the Premier League. I'm not sure why we were god-awful. Well, I am. We had a similar scenario, to be fair, didn't we? We lost Teller, we lost Martson, we lost Harwood Bellis. We replaced Harwood Bellis with, some good defenders as well in sort of like Dara O'Shea and stuff. But the heart had been ripped out of the team. So we don't want that to happen again. And it's a good sign that the club, as I've said already on the full-time show, it's a good sign that the club have tied down these loan players now. So Zian Fleming's going to be here next season. Well, he would have been anyway. Bashir Humphreys, this isn't confirmed yet, but he's going to be here next season. He said it himself, to be fair, so it's practically confirmed. And Marcus Edwards, he will be here next season now, thanks to the obligation upon promotion. And the same with Jadon Anthony. He will be here next season now, thanks to the obligation upon promotion. But there was still a bit of concern that we'd lose the likes of CJ and Josh, who, as I've said, are both out of contract in the summer. Connor Roberts was out of contract in the summer, but he signed around 2-3 months ago now. So it was good to see that we got that one done nice and early. And you were probably thinking with these two, this is just a guess, it's just me thinking out loud. I'm not saying that this is what these two are thinking at all. But they were probably just looking to see what league Burnley were going to be in next season. And if we're in the Prem, then they would hopefully sign. And if we were stayed in the Championship, then they probably would have gone on to pastures new, because they want to play their football at a higher level. And I think both of them have earned it, to be fair. But anyway, let's get into it. According to the Burnley Express, this was picked up by the Claret Extra account. He said, Scott Parker has said he is confident that CJ Egan-Riley and Josh Brownhill will sign new contracts with the club. Now, as you can see, that came from Matt Scrafton. Matt Scrafton is, of course, the main Burnley Football Club reporter at the Burnley Express, a friend of the show. We've had him on the channel a few times. I'm hoping to get him back on next season when we have some new exciting plans over the summer and into next season. But he tweeted himself saying, Easter Monday's promotion has given Burnley some much needed off the field clarity. Latest on Egan-Riley and Brownhill contract talks. Tying down loan players provides continuity. Obviously, we've touched on that already, and that's already been done, so we won't go too much into that. Balance to be struck in the transfer market. So just going into the article itself, on the Burnley Express website, of course, like I said, written by Matt, the headline says, Scott Parker makes confident claim about out-of-contract Burnley pair as promotion brings transfer clarity. He goes on to say, Burnley's promotion with 2 games to spare has given them some much-needed certainty on off-the-field matters. That's according to Scott Parker, who claims he's confident that CJ Egan-Riley and Josh Brownhill will put pen to paper on new deals. The pair, who have both played an integral role in Burnley's return to the Premier League, are currently at risk of leaving for nothing at the end of their contracts this summer. But now Burnley know they will be playing their football in the top flight next season. That's given them some clarity as they return to the negotiating table. What I will say is, when I tweet stuff like this, people often say things like, why haven't we sorted it already? Why haven't we offered them new deals? We have offered them new deals. We've offered them new deals before. New deals have been on the table since, I think, towards, again, this is just stuff I've seen on Twitter, but I think towards the end of last year, not last season, last year. So like December 2024. So again, that gives me more reason to believe that they were just waiting to see what division we were in, whether or not we'll be playing football in the Premier League next season, and then they go on to make a decision. Just sticking with the article, Scott Parker's direct quotes are, "Their ongoing conversations we've been having now over the last few months," Parker revealed. "These are conversations that we'll keep engaging with. Now we all know, and there's a real clarity in what next year will bring, where we're going to be. Hopefully, we can get some conclusions on both of them." That was proper Key Stage 1 reading from me, I apologise. When asked how confident he is the pair will put pen to paper, Parker added, "Yeah, I'm confident." Love that. "I know that both players we're talking about here and I've absolutely loved this year and they've been vital cogs in what we've done. You obviously never know, but hopefully we can try and get to a point where we'll have a bit more clarity on that." So that's great news. Again, I find it absolutely staggering that Josh Brownhill still gets a bit of stick from some sets of fans. And whether or not you think he's good enough for the Premier League, again, is a different debate. But I think this season has been his best season in terms of numbers. I think he probably played better that year under Company in the Championship, but this year he has been an absolute clutch player, as I've called him several times on the channel now. He's scored some vital goals for us this season. I think I saw a stat recently, and again, I apologise if this stat isn't exactly right, but out of Josh Brownhill's 15 goals this season, 8 of them have been match-winning goals. So that is literally the definition of a clutch player. And CJ Egan-Riley, he will be a huge asset to the club. And if we tie him down to a long-term contract, we can sell that boy for a lot of money. He's obviously come through the Man City Academy, very highly thought of in the England setup, plays for the under-21s on a regular basis, or gets called up to the squad, should I say, on a regular basis. He is brilliant, is CJ Egan-Riley. He's fantastic. He's a different type of defender to Maxime Esteve. CJ Egan-Riley is vital in our build-up with these cross-field diagonal pings. We won't get up the pitch as quickly in some scenarios without him doing them. So absolutely over the moon to see that these two are hopefully signing on and will be at Burnley next year. Because as I've said already, you don't want to be going into a Premier League season and losing, 4 of your main players, because there's still a lot of stuff about Trafford potentially going to Newcastle. Because that's still not confirmed, by the way. It's still not definitely done. But fingers crossed he ends up staying. But I feel like that's the least likely, just because of how good he's been this season and the type of clubs that are looking at him and all the noise that was surrounding Trafford in January and the summer. Last summer just gone. There's a lot of noise surrounding Trafford. He will be England's number 1. I think after the next World Cup. Nathan on the channel thinks during the next World Cup. But I think he's going to be England's number 1 after the next World Cup, and then for a hell of a long time, just as long, maybe not as long as Pickford, because he's been there a long time, but nearly getting to that same sort of level. So we're going to do well to keep hold of Trafford, but we need to do everything we can to keep the core of this squad together, and being able to keep Josh Brownhill and CJ Egan-Riley is a massive step to keeping the core of this squad together. Fingers crossed it all comes out soon with confirmation from the club, with some amazing jazzy videos and things like that of the boys signing the contracts, but it is absolutely massive, and I will be buzzing when these two sign the new deals.